Okay, so we're going to talk about the national inventories and the process we are going to use today. So what is it? I was asked to define it because I think I heard Ebony spoke earlier about it. There's a stakeholder inventory. So this is more like a policy programs and project. It's a compendium of all the climate resilient or climate responsive practices that we would have implemented across the country. So it's like a stock taking of what is here and what can we do with it. The purpose of the inventories, regional and country level climate resilient agriculture stock take. It's to identify opportunities for upscaling. So where there are opportunities to expand. And as we heard earlier about the end game, which is the more medium term or short term goal is to define 2 multi-country proposal for the GCF under this. So this is to identify what opportunities are within the respective countries. Identify opportunities for increasing emission ambitions. So one of the objectives of this project was to see how agriculture is now positioned in the NDCs and how we can better align it to assist with emission reductions at the country level and to position it for funding in a better light and more aligned with the goals of the NDC and of course the GCF funding mechanisms. And as said, GCF scoping. So the data collection process, the instrument was basically a collation of climate change enabling policies and plans ongoing agriculture initiatives across the country. So that was the basic purpose of the instrument. A review was done to add, to sort of pull out what are the climate responsive best management practices and what are some of the lessons we would have learned from implementing some of those actions. It doesn't have to be donor funding or anything like that. It just needs to be something that you have implemented that has the potential for future use. The NLCs would have populated with country-specific information. And today, the validation is about accuracy, gaps, and sources, needs alignment, and recommendations going forward. And the end game is to share, of course. And just for a little context, out of one of the product of this would have been of the overall project is a greenhouse gas inventory for the NDC scoping. And you see that pie chart, hope you can see it properly. This is the categories of GHG emissions from agriculture and more so the production system. So this is not even the entire value chain. So this is the different categories of greenhouse gas that our production, our food systems are emitting locally and more on a country specific level. This is our emission as defined by IPCC. And of course, this excluded the forest and other land use. So this is strictly agriculture for all the countries, as you can see. Trinidad and Bahamas pretty much not yet off the mark, but a significant amount of their food is provided through imports. So some of the best practices that can be included or should be included, some tools that we can look at, and I know there are some in the region, risk management modeling, credit and finance tools, blended or for direct investment, grants or transfer, whatever they are, development funds. What are some of the best practices that we would have implemented in the region to get credit and support, financial support to the agricultural sector? Approaches, participatory advisory services, weather-based advisories, or climate services, whichever you call it, or agromet services, conservation agricultural practices, some technical capacity or sustainability, R&D, what's the extension service for CRA that are now existing, and even if there are opportunities to build out those training suppliers that may be available, technologies and innovations, protected agriculture. I know a lot of countries are going into the protected agriculture, breeding for heat-tolerant crops and livestock, water management solutions, post-harvest technologies, and this is by no means an extensive, look at what are the approaches, but whatever you have to be discussed today, and we look at what go forward. And of course, youth, gender, focus, these are cross-cutting themes that should be included in those projects and programs. The PIU, which is pre-circulation of the country-specific inventory. So those should have gone out already, and stakeholders should have seen them for the individual countries. Overview of the data collection process, that's my role here, and the review of the inventories. The NLCs in the breakout room will take you through a review of what they have put together, and we have a specific feedback sheet to take your feedback throughout that session. I think we'll use 30 minutes for that. So this is a specific sheet we want to focus on today. So you would have gotten an entire Excel sheet for your countries, and they have a stakeholder inventory in them. They have the higher level policies and stuff. But today we want to focus on the granular level. What has been implemented in your country, and are there scope for expanding? Are there scope for looking at these technologies, these CRA solutions in the upcoming project proposals? And I mean, it can serve as a reservoir for the future as you define other projects for other donor funding. Sorry. So this is the criteria sheet. I am hoping that you would have had this sheet before, and on it, the instructions is that from the list that is in your group, you may add, you may subtract, depending on, the usefulness or the applicability to CRA, or the potential to, have some of in the table there, you look at CSA intervention, adaptations objective, what was the clear mitigation objective, and of course, is it aligned with any of the sustainable development goal that your country is tracking. And so that's pretty much it. After the 30 minutes, we'll come back with a summary of what you would have captured in this sheet, pretty much just saying, what are the next steps, who, what, and when?